The next time I had a meeting at Instagram, I just straight up asked my rep, I just want to know why my post is being shadow banned. And she was like, you tripping? Shadow banning is not real.
And that, my friends, was the greatest lie ever told. Well, not really, but let's just say it's very complicated. Because if we take a look at the past year, Instagram's always been saying, well, no, this is not true. Obviously, we don't shadow ban. And if we take just a look into their terms of use, they have what they call recommendation guidelines, where they explicitly state, well, yeah, we have guidelines that govern what content we recommend to people. We avoid making recommendations that could be low quality, objectionable, or sensitive, and they give a broad variety of examples like clickbait or engagement bait content, but also giveaways. Very interesting if you ask me. And they even go further and say they don't recommend accounts as a whole that violated their community guidelines, or, and this is the interesting thing, repeatedly or recently shared content they try not to recommend. Well, sounds like they do treat content differently in terms of reach. We made a whole video, by the way, about this whole matter. Let me know if you want an updated version on that. But just taking a look at these guidelines and then the data that I have from my agency, we can clearly see sometimes there's a huge drop in reach after people have shared something wrong in the eyes of Instagram. So yes, debunked. The shadow ban is actually real. With that being said, 8 out of 10 times, if your reach is dropping, it's still your own fault, mostly, because mainly your content just sucks or people have grown tired of you. Happens. Yeah, so many gurus out there say, well, hashtags are still important. You need to spend hours crafting a strategy to get maximum exposure. And yes, to some extent, you can still get good reach with hashtags. But between you and me, mostly those people who say that just haven't arrived in the present. They still, just mostly repeat the same old advice that gets reshared and reshared all over again, because they just don't know that usually your time is actually spent better crafting a content strategy and getting into the whole Reels game to spike your traffic way, way more than the hashtags actually would. I'm not saying that hashtags don't work anymore. They just have a slightly different use case. We made a video about that, but generally speaking, don't waste too much time on them. Use your time to create awesome content. That one gets shared quite a bit. I actually do have some data on that, and I can safely say if you forgot something in your caption and just change it up a bit, there won't be anything different in terms of reach. However, and I did some experiment a while back, and we have found that if you, let's say, post something with bad words in your caption, like mother or your reach will be a bit lower because they just don't like that. And if you then edit your caption to remove that or censor that, it will go back to normal again, at least according to my data. So if we take a look at it from the other angle, if you put some words in after the fact, if you put some banned hashtags in afterwards, of course they'll recognize that. But that's basically it. So yeah. Have you ever heard that boosting posts will actually restrict your reach because Instagram actually wants their users to pay more and more? Well, I have a million times. I see it get repeated by people in this comment section, actually. And our old friend Muziri himself answered that recently. I swear to God, he actually did. I can't seem to find the video or screen grab where he said that. I guess somebody is going to get fired today at Team Hey Dominic. You actually just have one job. You know what I'm talking about. And the comment section actually is responsible for you not being let go or let go. Let me know in the comments. I'm horrible. But basically, he said something along the lines of, it wouldn't make sense for Instagram because then the overall platform happiness would even get lower. Of course, he didn't say it that way, but it would get lower, which would be bad for them instead of good, obviously in the long run. And I also do have some data on that myself. We have some lessons about this in my program, The Black File, and I can safely say, at the worst, it won't make a difference at all. At best, you're actually going to see an organic uptick if you use ads and boosted posts the right way, especially speaking about shadow bans, especially the ones where you just confuse the algorithm, i.e. it's your own fault. Or let's say if you want to pivot your content slightly or retarget your followers to see who's actually still active. If done correctly, by using these ads, or boosted posts, you're going to activate people that then ideally continue to interact with you afterwards, which is very good for obviously organic reach. Lots of people have actually seen a pretty big uptick because of that. Yeah, especially after my last video where I said, ideally you post 1 to 3 reels per day. People started going crazy. I'm sorry if I didn't respond to your DMs because, Seems like it's very controversial because people think Instagram gives them a certain amount of reach, and by posting more than once, this reach is actually getting split up, effectively cutting your maximum reach for each post. Sounds like it actually makes a lot of sense, but it's actually not true, especially if you post Reels, because first of all, the Reels algorithm is just different. People just consume content differently on there. It mostly pushes you out to new people anyway. But also with your feed posts, you gotta think of your posting frequency as follows. Feel like a singer here. It's, by the way, because it's too hot and it'd be too loud for the other microphones with the fan on. Anyway, talking about feed posts, if your content is actually and truly valuable for your audience, twice a day is not too much. Besides that, the algorithm is actually there for a reason, and maybe it'll show your third post, for example, only the day after to some of your followers, which is actually beneficial to you. And actually, we do have some clients running theme pages that post 7 times a day, and their reach just seems to explode the more that they post. So you got to see this whole thing sort of as a test for your content. If you see your reach going down after posting once or twice a day, there's probably either something wrong with the content itself or with what I call the content audience fit, meaning is this type of content really what your target audience wants to see? And to figure that out, I actually have a ready to implement strategy laid out in this video right there that's helped hundreds, probably thousands of creators grow up until now. Click.